Hi everybody, Neil Malik from Knack Training bringing another everyday office video, and in today's video I want to show you how to use templates in Microsoft Outlook, templated emails, in conjunction with macros, because using the templated emails by themselves is kind of clunky. So first let's show how to create a template and then how you would normally access that. You would go to New Email, top left hand corner in Outlook, write up whatever the templated email needs to look like. So maybe you're replying to people who are looking for sales and marketing information about your business. So CC, you might put in June as maybe she is somebody who's in charge of sales and marketing at your company. The subject line, let's say that we're replying to this person, so we'll leave the subject line empty. And we'll put in a little text like, thank you for your interest. Please see attached. And of course, maybe you want to go to attach file and attach something to that email. Now, a quick point about this: if you are sending this out and you have a normal auto signature, you want to take your signature out of the template, because then when you use the template, your signature will get tacked onto it automatically. So don't put your signature on there; it'll get added on later. Okay, so maybe this is the perfect template. You spent a lot of time really working on this. Then you go to File, Save As. And on the Save As menu, what you need to do is switch over to your Outlook template type. And let's go with like sales reply, right? So the name of the file will be the sales reply file. All right, so I can close this now, and I don't need to save the changes, because the whole point of it was to save it as a template file. And so now we go to the File tab. And so now we go to the New Items button in the top left-hand corner, and I want to show you exactly how deep Microsoft hides the templates. You would then go to More Items, then down to Choose Form, and from there you have to hit the drop-down menu to choose User Templates in the file system, and your sales reply is there. See, it takes too long to get there. I don't like this. So if I want to be able to reply with this template, it would be really great if I had a button right there in Outlook to be able to execute on that. So let's see how you would make that happen. First thing you need to do is you need to have the Developer tab at the top of your screen to create a new macro. So you can just go up to the ribbon at the top of the screen in Outlook, right-click on it, and choose Customize the Ribbon, at which point you'll see over on the right there's a checkbox for your Developer tab. So just click the checkbox for the Developer tab to enable that, then click OK, and let's take a look at what's on my Developer tab. As you can see, there's a Macros button with nothing on it yet, and a Visual Basic button. So we're going to be copying and pasting some Visual Basic code for your macro into the Visual Basic window. So we click on Visual Basic. It opens up like this. If you need to, go up to your project panel up here in the top left and just expand these out until you get to this Outlook session. Okay, so let's look at this text file here, and for the record, if you follow the link in the description back to the blog post about this, you can download this text file. And as you can see, in this text file I have 4 macros. The first 2 macros are for templates to be used in Windows 7. You can see the W7 here at the end of the name of the macro. And the second 2 are for them to be used with Windows 10. I happen to be using Windows 10, so that's the one I'll be using here today. And basically what I did was I surfed the internet and I compiled these from little snippets I found in other people's descriptions and things like that, until I found the perfect combination that worked for me. Now, the reason there's a different version for Windows 7 than Windows 10 is because in Windows 7, the template file is saved into Documents and Settings, and in Windows 10, it's saved into the Users folder. So because those are 2 different locations, we have to have the macros written up differently. And you can see here that if you just want to send an email, it's a very simple description. But if you want to reply to an email, you have to take the information from the original email, like who sent it, CC'd on that email and what their subject line was, and go ahead and use that in the reply so that it looks like you're actually replying to an email you received. So for our purposes here, of course, we're going to be replying, and I am using Windows 10. So I'll copy out this bit of text and I'll paste it into this Outlook session. Let's actually take a look at what's in here because we need to customize it just a little bit. The first thing we need to customize. Right now, the name of the macro is reply with template W10, which helps you understand what you're looking at when it's time to use this macro. But for our purposes here, when we're executing on it, we need it to be named something better. So I'm going to call this something like reply sales, right? So I'm going to call it something like sales reply so that it matches up with our template. And the other thing we need to customize here is, as you can see, it says, okay, we're creating an item from a template that's in C user's username. So you need to know what your username is. Mine's Neil M on this machine. App data, roaming, Microsoft templates, and then right here, what is your file name? Remember, we called it sales reply. And with those 3 bits of customization, you now have a macro that you can use for other templates in the future as well, right? You can have as many templates as you want, all being executed off of this same basic structure of the macro. So we definitely want to save at this point. Now, to simplify security measures, what we can do at this point is we can sign this macro. To sign a macro, you need to have a digital certificate. Notice here, and you guys can Google or it'll be in the blog post down below how you find this. As you can see on my system, it's in the C drive, in program files x86, in the Office folder, in the root folder, in the Office 16 folder. There's this program right here. It's called Self-Cert. And when I double click on Self-Cert, it says, okay, we can make a certificate so that you can sign your macros. So I'm going to name my certificate my name and click OK. And it says, yeah, we went ahead and made that certificate for you, and click OK. Now, we go to our macro and we say, I want to sign this so that we know that because this macro is signed, it should be trusted. So we go to Tools up here at the top of the screen. We go down to Digital Signature on the Tools menu, and it says, would you like to sign this signature? It currently has no certificate. Notice here, we could sign it with the test certificate that I created before this. I'm going to click on Choose here. Go to More Choices, and there's my Neil Malik certificate. There it is. Click OK. Click OK. And now this has been signed. So I'll save it, close it, and I'll close Outlook as well. Do you want to make sure to save the project? Yes. So let's go ahead and relaunch Outlook. So now, if you go to the Developer tab up at the top of the screen and you click onto Macro Security, you'll notice in here that we can say, for instance, notify us for digitally signed macros trying to be executed, and all other macros should be disabled, or notifications for all macros, one way or another. Something in there is a good way of setting up your security settings. And then when you click OK and you go to macros, you'll see that it says, okay, we have this thing called this Outlook session, and we're not sure about this macro. You can click then on Show Signature Details. When you click on Show Signature Details, it'll say, oh yeah, the signer of this macro is you, right? So I click OK. And I can say, yeah, okay, so if I sign it as myself, I trust that. Let's trust the documents from that publisher. And you can see that my sales reply is now available on the macros drop-down menu. So we now get back to the developer tab, click on macros, and click on this Outlook session dot sales reply. And as you can see, it puts in who was the sender in the to field, puts in June in the CC field, puts in the same subject line of the original email from Eric, puts in my thank you for your interest, puts in the attachment, and allows me to send that out at a moment's notice. So now here's what I'm going to do with this. Instead of having to go to the developer tab and click on macros and choose sales reply from the drop-down menu, I want to go back to the home tab. And you can see here I've already got reply, reply all, reply with meeting. I've got reply and delete in my quick steps. So why not put a button here that's reply with marketing information? To do this, I'll right click onto my ribbon at the top of the screen, choose Customize the Ribbon, and as you can see over here on the right, I have my Respond group and I have my Quick Steps group. I need a new group between these two. So I'll click on New Group. There's my new custom group right there, and I can click on Rename, and I can call this one Custom Replies. So now I have a group called Custom Replies, and I have that one macro right now. I use my drop-down menu, choose Macros, and there's my Sales Reply macro. Hit Add, and it gets nestled underneath Custom Replies. So now I just need to go to project1.thisoutlook session right here and click on Rename over at the bottom and, sort of tweak it a little bit. First of all, the display name should not be project1.thisoutlook session.sales reply. It should be just something like reply with marketing, something like that. And then for the icon for this thing, maybe it's an arrow that points back. Maybe it's this kind of arrow here. Maybe it's a new email, paper icon. Whatever it is that you feel like is an appropriate icon from this list that you can find, let's go ahead and send an envelope. That'll be good. Okay. So I click OK, and I click OK. And now right here between Respond and Quick Steps, I have a group called Custom Replies, and I can click on Reply with Marketing, and just like that, I can execute on that macro, which executes, of course, on the template. So again, the basic concept here is fairly straightforward. I make a new template file, put in any information I want and save that template, and then going to the developer tab and clicking on Visual Basic, I'm able to create a macro that executes on calling that particular template and using that for my reply.